Whew, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Realville. Real quick, I wanted to get this out this morning. I know a lot of people are not going to be on, but I still wanted to get the information out. I kind of shared a little short video last night sometime, and it was only, give me 1 second. It was only because I wanted to kind of give a prelude to what we're going to be talking about this morning. 1 second. All right. So didn't want my phone to keep going off. All right. So what I wanted to talk about was women in the draft. I know we haven't been seeing it. Kind of ran across an article about a week ago, and I've been slow to put the information out. Um, so Congress, doing some research, I found out that Congress for the last good morning, Rebecca. Good morning, Urban Third. For the last year or so, even past that, that Congress has been pushing, and we also have some groups that have been pushing. Women are already in the military, but they're not required to register for selective services like males are. And I don't know if I'm anti-war, but the more I learn about war and the politics of war and the business and the money making of war, you kind of start going into, okay, World War I, World War II, how was it funded? Who funded it? How much money is made off of war? You start to look at those things, and it starts to give you a sour taste in your stomach for the idea of patriotism or war at the expense of the word patriotism, when it's not really patriotism, when it's a few people mad with a few people or want something other people have, and then the whole country plunged into war, and thousands and thousands and thousands of of men and women die for something that we shouldn't have been at war with. When you look at that aspect of it, war gives you a sour taste in your stomach, and then a lot of people lose. A lot of people lose family members. Now, what KD is talking about, they're using they're using that movement as a catalyst to say women want equal rights. Women want and this is what you got to be careful of. They're putting it under the banner of equal rights for women. Women are just as good as men. Women are just so they back women into a corner because you're saying, yes, we're just as good as men. Yes, we deserve everything men have. Yes, yes, yes. And then they say, okay, you register them for, but you didn't get none of the other stuff you asked for. You didn't get the equal pay. You didn't get any. They're not fighting to give you that, but they're fighting to make you register at 18 for selective services for the draft. And I'm going to go to back to those people. So that's what it's all about. It's all under gender equality people, whatever. But I don't see it like, I think if a woman, and we do have a lot of beautiful women, that strong, brave women that actually have joined the military. I know a good bit of women that are in the military. So it's not saying that, hey, if you want to join, go join. Selective services is a little bit different than if you want. It's like if you don't do it, you remember Muhammad Ali and stuff. If you don't do it, then they have the ability to put you in jail if you're found guilty of draft dodging or whatever. But and this is what I want, and this is what I want to talk about too with the draft dodging. Remember one thing: it's very rare that a congressman or representative, family member, close family member, son, whatever, nephew, gets called up in drafts. For some reason, when their name come up, their name gets penciled out. They're voting to put you and I in a draft, and our children and our daughters in a draft. And if we don't go, they say, well, you're a draft dodger, we're going to put you in jail. But we find out through history. Now, it's never found out right then and there. They always hold the information till 10 years down the line, till the person is no longer a congressman or till the person is dead. And they say, oh, he was a draft dodger. Like, y'all just finding it out, or y'all been knew that, right? So anyway, I want to show y'all two links that y'all can go to. One I shared last night in the short video that we actually put out. And I'm going to go through that one. No, I want to go through, let me put something up. Let me see if I got a banner for this. I should. Where's my banners? Where's my banners? Because I want to put up, before I get started. Come on, tell me. I'm gonna have to grab one right quick. So I'm gonna get me a fair use banner because I'm about to go into a website. And for people that have channels, the easiest thing to do is go to your search engine and put in fair use, copy and paste, and basically you can kind of run a little quick banner. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna copy and paste this banner right quick. Y'all give me a second. All right. So as we're going into, let me scroll it. And I'll scroll it. It's gonna be on roll call. It's rollcall.com. What I did, let me show you, because I like to show y'all so y'all can get to the information. I think it's better than me just going straight to a slide. Let me kind of show you how I got to what I got to. Oh, and the roll call is still down. So that website is down. But I'm going to show you anyway how I got to it. All right, so this one is down right now for some reason. But if you go to, this is what I put in: women in the draft, December 2021. If you just put women in the draft, it'll start showing you all of the old, like 2015, 2016 posts that were up like this. When lawmakers drop proposal to add women to the draft. This is 2021. But they have some older ones that you can go and look at to kind of see the line of it, to see how long it's been going on. I had went to this roll call one because I thought it was really, really, really written out good. So, and that was just yesterday, and I come to it today to click on it, and of course, oh, there we go. It's back up. It's back up. All right. For some reason, it was just acting up a while ago. Roll call. Basically, you saw what I went on. Women in the draft, December 2021. Go to roll call. Click off some of these ads that they're putting up. Thank y'all. I want to give, I guess, all credit to rollcall.com on this one. But it says Congress moves forward. Let me make sure y'all can see that too. Yes. All right. So Congress moves forward requiring women to register for the draft. Now, this is pre-vote. And this is what I want y'all to see. So it's already been taken out, but I want you to kind of get a little, understanding of where it's came from. And the reason why is because I want to show you some of these people that think it's just so okay what they're doing. So they're going to show you some pictures of the women that's already in the service. Democrats appear united in wanting to change, while Republicans are split. So for this getting kicked out, most of this is in thanks to the Republicans, because if it was 100% Democrat rule right now, it seems, I'm just gonna say, it seems as though this would have gotten passed and women would be required to register for the draft. So this is what this kind of site is talking about. It says for over 100 years, young men have registered for the draft. Now Congress is poised to make a historic change for gender equality by requiring women for the first time in American history to do the same. Whenever I see words like "for the first time in American history" on something like this, a first for something like this, I think it just shows how far the country is going down the tubes. Not the country, not the people, the politics. It shows how they're sold out. They've sold out. The country has been basically sold out like a slave on the auction block. They just sold the whole country away for a couple of little pennies to be millionaires for a couple of years. I don't know, for whatever freedom. They can kill people, they can sell children, they can get away with it, not get caught. For that freedom, they've sold you out. And I can't understand. I'm like, don't they have enough men to kill? You have to understand there's more women in the world than men. When you look at depopulation, you can't just take all the men out because there's only so many men. And you do have to have some kind of stock to keep mankind going. What's the ratio of men to women? Like 8-1? 8 women to 1 man? Just don't have enough. And then so we can use the men to do some of the muscly work, some of the labor work. But women, what do we need women for? They're not having babies anymore. I don't want to talk about it, but we got other issues. Nobody really wants to have children. That's what women and men get together. The women are the only ones that can carry the babies. If we can take the women out, that's even better than abortion. We just don't even have to worry about them being there. This is just some of the thinking that they're going to think behind closed doors. It says, but while support for change is bipartisan, that means everybody's in on it, but not everybody. Congress is leaving the details for later. What does that mean? That sounds like some of this stuff that we got going on now. Let's pass it, and then we'll worry about the details later. How are we falling for this stuff over and over and over? How do we fall for this stuff? Let's pass it, and let's worry about the details later. It says that's the easy thing to do, considering the military hasn't drafted anyone since the Vietnam War. And this is where Martin Luther King had his big speech, why I opposed the war in Vietnam. And it's possible it never will need to again. If we don't see a need in the near future for any kind of draft, knowing that men already are required to draft, why are we even talking about putting women in the draft? Because we're gonna talk about it. I'm gonna show you what one of these, and it's a Republican. So I'm gonna show you what. Remember what I told you about HR 55. They're all in on it, but I'm gonna show you. It says, where we at? They're right here. But if a crisis of monumental proportions, this is what they're gonna say. Look at that. They love the word crisis. If a crisis of monumental proportions were to emerge, the logistics of incorporating women into a much larger war could prove complicated. Would drafted women be expected to serve in combat roles And if not, what would their roles be? Would they be housed with men? You know that's bad. Just from being a man, I'm gonna tell you that's bad to start with. It's okay to have some what they call it in college, co-ed, but I don't know about it in times of war, how that amount of people co-eding, what it would do to the family structure. I'm not talking about sex or what it would do men or even rape. You get some of that now. I just mean to the family structure. One man is over here, his wife is over here, or do they separate you if you have children? Maybe the wife don't go if she has children. So is this going to attack unmarried women, single women? Because I would doubt they'd be able to send married women off to war with children in the household of fighting age, unless they'll make the children go with the grandparents. I don't know, but I'm thinking it's going to be more toward single women. It says, if not, what would their roles be? It appears that neither Congress nor the Pentagon has thought that through, but they're ready to try to push it through on the vote. Okay, so still included in the House version of the fiscal 2022 National Defense Authorization Act. So like I say, they've already passed this through, but they had to take this out, and I'm going to show you that. It says, which that chamber passed last month was an amendment by Pennsylvania Democrat Chrissy, I don't know her name, Houlihan, something, and Florida Republican Mike Waltz. Now, I want you to pay close attention to what this Republican said. Now, remember, the Republicans are split on it. He's kind of with Miss Chrissy on this one. That will require women to sign up with the Selective Service, a government agency that keeps record of Americans eligible for potential draft. That means of fighting age. I can't remember what fighting age is, but I know it's like 18, maybe 18 to somewhere around 40 or something, 30 something, 40, I believe. It's considered what they call fighting age, or 18 to 35, something like that. It says, and the Senate Services Committee also included language that would require women to register when it marked up its version of that's the NDAA, that's the National Defense Authorization Act, in July, although the full Senate has not yet taken it up. Proponents of the changes see the move as a victory for women's rights. There's people that's with it. They say, oh, that's just, we can do everything. We can actually be required to go to war. What a victory for women. War, debt, bloodshed, post-traumatic stress disorder. That's a victory for women. That's a victory for women. Everything that comes along with going to war is a victory for women. Are y'all not happy with the women that are crying every day when their husbands don't come back home? When their children's fathers don't come back home? Those tears are not enough. Shot, heads blown off, roadside bombs, landmines. That's not enough. That doesn't prove enough for women's rights. Equity is important. I don't know her name, the Chrissy lady. Equity is important, she said. She told these people roll call in the interview. And women have constantly had to fight for a level playing field. I thought we was talking about in the workplace. I thought we was talking about women getting seen as equal to men in the areas of mind and work. How do you change that narrative to talk about war? This change is a step in the right direction. I told y'all, you have to be careful when you find something like this. This is for women that's voting in Pennsylvania. When you find something like this is what they believe. Stop voting in these people that believe stuff like this. because every vote that comes up, it's a means to an end to get this passed. She's going to do everything she can to get this passed. Now, I didn't look into her family. I don't know if she have children. I don't know if she have daughters, but I can guarantee you, whether she does or not, hers won't end up in that. And if they do go, it's kind of like the great sacrifice. Somebody's child has to go. If your child go, whoever child goes and dies, you notice how they do this. Whoever child goes and dies, they're gonna put them up on a platform. Oh, such and such child went and gave the ultimate sacrifice, and that throws the light off of everybody else that have children that's down there. She says equity is important, and women have had the right or have had to fight for a level playing field. This is a change in the right direction. Now look, Waltz. Let's go back up to him. I want to tell you his name, the Florida Republican, Michael Waltz. This is him right here. Michael Waltz. Let's see what he has to say about it. This is kind of alarming from somebody that's in Congress. It says Waltz argues that were a crisis requiring a draft to emerge, the United States would need every available person. Wait a second. Now, you told us that wars were changing. You told us that wars today are not ground wars. So if you think about Rome, Civil War, War of 1812, Revolutionary, all those wars were foot wars. That means you needed a lot of men, thousands, hundreds of thousands of men to overcome and go out on the battlefield and out muscle the other people on the other side. We're in a cyber Cold War right now, but we're in a time and age where, if you remember the pipeline that just a few months ago was hacked, right? Somebody hacked into this gas company, and they had to pay a ransom in order to get, I forgot how many million, whatever it was, they had to pay that ransom. That was a cyber war. Somebody in Russia, whether it was the Russian government or they say it was just some bad actors in Russia that actually did it. But actually, that's where we are now. If you look at the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, you'll see a lot of things in there that talks about beefing up that part of the American military, where mostly now it's all about cyber wars, kind of like an anti-defense as it relates to the internet. So everything is like an internet war. It's over the waves. You don't need that many people to fight a war that's either going to be by drones or by a computer, which is also, drones are ran by the computer. So you really just need a lot of technical people to fight wars now, because the drones can drop off bombs. You very rarely need people today with the amount of technology or how far technology has grown. There's satellites that can shoot down sound and light, and just, it's all kind of things that the U.S. military has available at its disposal. Why would we be talking about, it's misdirection that we're talking about women in the draft, or are they really lying to us, and they're gonna basically act like, oh, we need to send 10,000 people to this country. We need to send 10,000 people to this country. And then get out there and you get slaughtered. And then when you get slaughtered, oh, well, that's 10,000 less we got to deal with. And then they go ahead on and send a drone and do whatever they got to do, which they should have did at first. This also lends to a short that I did 2 shorts ago that I did on the channel, when I talked about Russia, I talked about China, Iran, and North Korea. The reason why we may be looking at implementing, or if not this year, next year, having women register for selective service, is because if we start a war with Russia and then China says, oh, good, they fighting with Russia, now we can go do whatever we want to do. US has to be able to say, oh no, we still got manpower. We'll fight you too. Then so if we fighting Russia and we fighting China, because both of them are going to work together, whoever starts the war, the other one's going to help each other, Russia and China. You remember we pulled out Afghanistan. Who went down there to take the pictures? As soon as we pulled out, China pulled in. As soon as all the military stuff that we left in Afghanistan, as soon as we pulled out, they welcomed China in as a partner. So now you have Russia, China, Afghanistan. Iran is already going to be with anybody that's against the U.S. Iran cannot stand the U.S. and it can't stand Jerusalem. North Korea has always wanted to finish this thing with South Korea. So don't you believe that once the U.S. is fighting Russia and China, I don't know his name, Kim Jong-il or Un, he got his weapons. He has his nuclear stuff. He has his missiles. He can't wait to launch them. The U.S. is going to be spread too thin on this one. You got the Mexico problems. You got the Cuban stuff. It's just too many problems that the U.S. has put its hands into. And what does a scared bully do? I want you to think about this. This is the U.S. It's just like if you've been in the streets, it's just like the dude with the loudest mouth. He's the scariest person out there, but he got a gun. What does he do? He's going to shoot up everybody. So you're looking at the U.S., if it goes to war, and just like it did with the atomic bomb, if it feels threatened, like he's going to lose, like she's going to lose all of the war, all of her, everybody's against her, and she sees impending doom, she's going to press the button. She's going to fire off on everybody, even her own children. She'll put them in harm's way for a win. Let's continue on. It says, now this is him. This is Waltz, the Republican from Florida. The country would need everybody, man, woman, gay, straight, any religion, black, white, brown. Why? If wars have changed, why would we need? Do these people have any education on the amount of technology that's available? They do. They think you don't. They think you're stupid enough to fall for it. It says, according to this Miss Chrissy Houlihan, she and Waltz paired up on this amendment out of a shared belief that Congress should change the current outdated way of thinking about things. It seems to me that you and Mr. Waltz are outdated on your way of thinking. Because we've moved past, we've moved beyond those things. We've moved beyond ground wars. So, and not saying that they're going to have women fighting, but like they said at the beginning, maybe they're going to have them in some kind of domestic capacity. But why not just leave the women at home if they're going to be doing domestic work? What's the reason to get them if they're just going to be washing clothes? Come on now. You're not fooling anybody. Nobody's stupid. Waltz is a former Army Green Beret who served in Afghanistan. Houlihan spent 17 years in the Air Force and Air Force Reserves, leaving as a captain. Okay, Miss Chrissy Houlihan, you did that on your own free will. That's why I can't really give her a pass, because she was in the armed forces. Oh, well, you can't talk about her. She was in the armed forces and you wasn't. She made a choice. Nobody made her do it. That's what I'm about in this country. I do still believe in individual freedom. I still believe that you can be a patriot without joining the army. I believe that that's domestic service as well that needs to be done. You chose to be able to go out and partake in one branch of patriotism. But don't think because somebody has been in the Army, has been in the Navy, has been in the Marines, and they're out fighting and giving their lives is any better than a mother that's in the home raising her children. Everybody has to play their part. You chose to go do that. Democrats, I want you to look at this. Democrats seem united on making a change. Republicans are split, but a critical mass seems to now favor it. What critical mass? Somebody said it at the beginning. All these individual right groups that y'all been sponsoring and sending money to, donating to, all of these people, they're now what they call a critical mass. I don't know nobody in favor of sending women to war. Representative Liz Cheney, Jack Berman, Pat Fallon of Texas, all voted in favor of the amendment. Now, these are all Republicans. When it came up to the armed service markup last month, I don't get some of the Republicans that they have out there. I don't get the Democrats. I don't get anybody. It says there's not been a draft since the United States since Vietnam War, and the military is currently an all volunteer force. That's what I was talking about with Miss Christie. It's all volunteer. You choose to go and do that. It says the United States has some form of conscription since the Revolutionary War. A draft system was used during World War I. The nation's first ever peacetime draft was held in 1940, prior to American entry to World War II. They called it a peacetime draft because they knew the war was coming. So I'm not going to get into that, though. 10 million men were drafted during World War II. And from the end of World War II until 1973, men were drafted to fill vacancies in the military. All right, so draft has been going on a long time. And you can just go ahead on and read that. Let me see if they got anything else that I read last night. She said it is an equal obligation. Look at this. Whoever heck is. It is an equal obligation of all Americans to defend the nation if called to do so. Registering women for selective service and, if necessary, including women in the draft acknowledges the value women bring to the U.S. Armed Forces and the talent, skills, and abilities women would offer in demanding the nation and defending the nation in a national emergency. You know what I want to talk about before I go to our next slide? Let me move that one out the way. Before I go to the next slide, what's going on, Michael Farmer? It's KD. What I want to talk about is what they just said on that one. That it's our obligation to defend the nation. It's funny when war pops out. It's our obligation to defend, to go help. It's kind of like in school when you had that friend, messy as all get out. And then when they get into some mess with people they can't beat, with 2-3 people they can't beat, they come running back to get you. Hey man, they want to fight. You like, they who? Who they want to fight? Me? No, man, they trying to fight me, bro. Come get my back. That's the dirty, messy politics of the 2000s, 1990s. This is what our politics have become. U.S. politicians, presidents, certain political parties go out, start mess with these countries, start mess with Russia, start mess with China, start mess, and don't get me wrong, these countries are starting with the U.S. as well, but that's just how it is. They start mess. A lot of times the U.S. is in stuff we shouldn't even be nowhere in. You got the CIA, FBI, everybody's just starting mess. You got all these spies running around, starting these wars, and then all of a sudden, it's the Americans' problem to go help you defend freedom. When you started the problem. And then when Americans say, okay, we shouldn't be doing that. We shouldn't be doing, you take China, for example, coming out of coming out of 2020, we found out that China didn't want to give no masks. China didn't want to give some of the medicines that we needed. And people started like, wait, China makes medicines that we need for Americans to stay alive? Instead of saying, okay, we need to start manufacturing that stuff here, and we need to depend less on China and start manufacturing our own things, what America's going to say, we need to go to war with China because they didn't want to give us that stuff. Or you take Iran or Iraq or Afghanistan, when it gets to the point where we were producing our own oil and gas. So America had become energy independent just a few years ago. New Democratic regime comes in, cuts off the pipeline, cuts off all kind of forms of the frack and stuff, just all this stuff. You just start cutting it off. And then the gas starts rising. Then he says, well, we need them to produce more oil for us. Like we were already doing it. How does it help us to be dependent upon the whole world when the only way we can get the resources that they have, if they don't want to give it to us or sell it to us, is we have to go and take it by force? How does politics like that help us? Microformer says, so if I have to fight for this, I look at the men in my family tree that went to fight because this is the only home I have. Brother, I feel my grandpa and dad and uncles fought for this country when they were not concerned. Amen. When they were not concerned. So I'm on the fence about U.S. fight for this country. It's going to be an individual choice. How they get men and women to fight for this country is patriotism. And if the American people, now you're going to have wars, but if the American people can get beyond the idea that putting on a uniform to go fight unjust things is patriotism, if we can get beyond that idea, then we can start holding these politicians accountable. This is what happened in 2001. No way. Ever since 2001, man, it's like they pressed the button. It's like the Building 7 button. It's like the country has just been on a spiral. The country would not have said, like, man, we're not going to war with those people. They ain't do us nothing. If you notice, since then, nobody has ever done to America anything. But we blowing up everything. We're just going crazy. They're blowing up everything, making enemies all over the world. And why? Because you dropped the ball? Because you had information you didn't act on? So now you can just Google it. Men and women that are in the military that have died since 2001 in the Middle East. It's ridiculous. Didn't they like kill Saddam Hussein, try him and all of that, found him guilty like so long ago, decades ago? Why are we still down there blowing stuff up? Thought that them declared patriots to be enemies of the state. Yeah. So it's kind of real true patriotism. People that believe in individual freedom, people that believe in the Constitution, they're now considered the true domestic terrorists. Go figure. Look this next slide. Let me show you this. So that one was before the, let's see what I need. I need to go to, okay. That one was before the actual, the vote. So this one here is a December 7th, military.com. It says Congress drops effort to add women to the draft. Let me make sure y'all can see that. Yeah, you can see it. women like this and look how they always give you the pictures. Like I say, it's voluntary. We have a lot of women that serve the country on a voluntary basis. Women will not have to sign up for a potential draft anytime soon. They got to put that in there. That means don't get your hopes up. Pretty soon, your little beautiful daughter, your daughter that's probably 10 years old now, by the time she make 18, they'll been past that. If we don't take them out. If we don't, and it doesn't seem that we can vote these people out with this kind of thinking, with this anti-American, to me, anti-masculine thinking. Just because a woman is a woman and a man is a man, that doesn't mean that nobody's saying one is less than the other, right? Men and women work together, just like a person. That's just like me and my family, just with my son. Doesn't mean that my son is, I think, oh man, he's too weak or he's this and that. No, we all have strengths. We all have strengths that we can actually use. So men have some strengths that women don't have. Women have some strengths that men don't have. It's not saying one is better than the other. It's learning how to work together. It says women will not have to sign up for a potential draft anytime soon. Now, this one here is military.com. So we want to give credit to military.com on this. I think it's written by Rebecca Keel. But women were dropped from, or the effort to add them to selective service systems was dropped from a sweeping defense bill. Now, I want you to know on this defense bill that they've actually upped the money on it. And we probably can take a look at that. But they're increasing the amount of money that they're actually using as opposed to the last bill. A congressional aide confirmed to military.com, and this is under Democratic rule. Remember, they were saying when the Republicans were in office, they were saying that the Republicans, because Trump ran on this thing about beefing up the military and making us have the strongest military, and all the Democrats were saying too much money is being spent on the military. We're not trying to go to war. All Trump wants to do is press the red button, and we're not trying to go to war. That's what they was pushing. But now that we have a Democratic president in, we spending even more money on the military, and a lot of the so-say progressive Democrats were actually against this up in the ante as far as the money spent on the military. But some people are saying, look at all the problems we're having with Russia and China. We have to increase our military budget. That's what they're saying. I'm just letting you know what they're saying. It says a congressional aide confirmed to military.com that a provision that would have required women to register for the draft will not be in the compromised version of the National Defense Authorization Act, or NDAA, that is expected to be released later Tuesday. The outcome, which was first reported by Politico, comes as a surprise since the provision was included in both the House and Senate versions of the NDAA and had bipartisan support. They're going to keep pushing that. The United States has not instituted a draft since the Vietnam War, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so it says, so this is the age right here, but men ages 18 through 25 still must register. I thought it was way longer than that. I thought it was like to 35, but 18 to 25 must still register with what's officially called selective service system, or face consequences such as losing access to federal financial aid for college, which is something. And look at this. You see this? Let me talk about this right quick. This is the consequence. This is one of them. Losing financial aid. Only poor people really use that. You got people, rich folks, paying for their children to get into colleges. Paying. You remember, look at what that's Lori Loughlin? Paying to get their children, no matter what the price is. You think they're worried about keeping their children out of selective service because they can't get financial aid? Momentum has been growing to make women register since 2015, when all combat jobs were open to them, rendering moot the previous rationale for excluding them from the draft. So they say, okay, well, women can now, when they pass that bill, letting women actually fight combat, they said, well, No need to keep them out of the draft. Well, that's women that's volunteering to go fight combat, man. Ma'am, sir. We're not talking about the women that never even had a fight in their life. We're not talking about women that can't even stand to watch a war movie on television. We're talking about women that want to go out and shoot guns and do all of this stuff. So how does, because you opened it up for all women to be in combat positions that were in the military, how does that mean? That means we can start drafting women too. In July, the Senate Armed Services Committee voted 21-5. Look at that. Look how big that is. To add women to the draft registration system. 21-5. Only 5 said, hell no. We can't do that. With 7 Republicans, you remember HR 55? It was 80 Republicans, right? They're always gonna, whenever they get Republicans on their side, they're always gonna say, even Republicans, or if Republicans got something going on, they're gonna say, we even got 10 Democrats to make it seem bipartisan. 7 Republicans voting yes. So that means 14 Democrats voted yes. 7 Republicans voted yes. That made 21. And of the 5, I don't know who the 5 were. It says the House Armed Services Committee approved the change in September in a 35-24 vote, with 4 Republicans voting for it. The committee approval came after a congressionally mandated commission last year recommended draft registration be expanded to include women, calling it a necessary and a fair step. But a small vocal group of conservatives was adamantly opposed to making women register and threatened to vote against the whole bill. So this is what they do now. They get one thing they really want passed, and then they get one thing that we really need, something that's up against what they call a deadline. Oh, the country's going to shut down if we don't get this. But they're not telling you about everything else in the bill. The country's going to shut down if we don't pass this huge spending bill. But then they don't tell you what's up in the bill that you don't really want. So what some conservatives said was, okay, if you put this in this bill, I'm going to vote against the whole bill. As long as this in it, I don't care. I don't care how much money you want to increase. I'm voting against the whole thing. It said that a small vocal group of conservatives were adamantly opposed to making women register and threatened to vote against the NDAA as a whole if the final bill included the provision to, in its words, draft our daughters. Senator Josh Hawley, representative from, I think that's Missouri, a potential 2024 presidential candidate who led the charge against the provision in the Senate, responded to reports that it is being removed from the compromise NDAA by saying he certainly hopes that is the case. If it is not, then I will keep fighting for a vote in the Senate floor to strip this wrong and misguided provision out of the final bill. Earlier this year, the Supreme Court declined to take up a case challenging the constitutionality. That means these people, let me tell you something. You just saw that thing was 18-25. These people that are fighting, they're going all the way up to the Supreme Court to fight for women to be entered into the draft. They're not going into the draft. I can't understand why would people be taking up fights had nothing to do with them? Why would they be so adamant? Don't you have things in your life that you're unhappy with that actually affect you? Go fight for that. Why are you fighting for women in the draft when you're not of draft age? And if you are a woman and you want to go to the military, go. It's open. If you are a woman and you want to be in the army, you want to be a ground trooper or whatever you want to go. It's open. Since 2015, women can do any job in the military. Go. Why are you taking this all the way up to the Supreme Court? Supreme Court declined the case, challenging the constitutionality of an all-male draft. The Supreme Court is like, we don't even have time to look at that. Citing the expectation that Congress soon would act on the issue. That means leave it up to Congress. That's about war. Congress is who actually gives you the power to go to war. But 3 justices indicate the court could be open to revisiting the issue if Congress failed to act. That might not be good. That might not be good. It remains to be seen, of course, whether Congress would end gender-based registration under the Military Selective Service Act. But at least for now, the court's long-standing deference to Congress on matters of deference to Congress on matters of national defense and military affairs caution against granting review while Congress actively weighs the issue. That's a good stance. So you're looking at Stephen Breyer, Brett Kavanaugh, Sonia Sotomayor, all of which their children will probably never see the war field in the case of a real war. In peacetime war, or their children will soak it up. In peacetime war, their children will go to all be an admiral in peacetime war. But in World War III, when people are dying not by the hundreds, not where they can do like with Afghanistan, they can make sure their children join. This is what they do. And I'm trying to be honest, because I can see what they do. This is what they do. War breaks out, their child gets drafted. They'll make sure their child gets drafted. It's a war in Russia. I want y'all to listen to me. It's a war in Russia. It's a war in China. It's a war with Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, North Korea. Their children will be in Panama, Costa Rica, stationed in Costa Rica. But they in the army. It's active. It's an active war. But their post is in Puerto Rico. Their post is somewhere in Brazil. This is what they do. This is what I'm telling you. Your children gonna be in the meat of it. Your children are gonna be flying to China, flying to the Middle East, flying to South Korea, flying to Guam, and their children might be stationed in Canada or in Mexico along the border, protecting the border, which they can't do right now. I just wanted to actually just get in here and give you a little information, show you a couple of things that we weren't seeing. Actually, they was trying to push this through, and I haven't seen it on any of the radios, heard it on radio. I haven't seen it on TV or any media outlets. And I was like reading through this stuff and I'm like, wait, they tried to do what? Next time, they're going to push it through. I mean, eventually it's going to go through. And probably they might have to wait for a disaster. You know, they got that saying that, you know, never waste a good crisis. Never waste a good disaster. Eventually, they're going to look for that disaster. Something's going to happen. And then, bam, we need every hand on deck. I don't want to say the word that the men, we have another saying, but we can't, don't put it in the chat. But we need every hand on deck. men, women. That man said it. Gay, straight, transgender, LGBTQI, pronoun. I don't care what you are. We need you to go and fight for your country. When they say that, I'm telling you, I think it's all in the effort. Miss Rebecca said, you're not seeing this because they are using selective media. Of course. I know it. They got to put the information. This is one thing I'm learning about the way God is working. It's more work for us now. They got to put the information out there, because if they don't, people are going to say, y'all hid it. Y'all, we didn't even know what was going on. They're going to say, well, it's been up on military.com. It's been up on roll call. It's been up on New York Post. They're not going to put it on the front page. You're going to have to go through 10, 15 different slides to get to it. But they're going to show, when they show that little time dated stamp, I'm going to show you, when they show this little time dated stamp right here, they're going to say, what? That been up since December 7, 2021. It might be June 2022, but they'll go back and say, look, that been out since I don't know when. Everybody knew about that. And then you look and you find yourself saying, well, dang, I didn't know anything about it. But you're going to think everybody else knew about it, but it slipped past you. It slipped past everybody. That's the truth of it. It slipped past everybody. And all of those little Republicans and Democrats are up there. They keep us so fixated on things that mean nothing to the country as a whole. The prices of everything goes up. So of course you got to keep your head down now, because you probably was working 40 hours. Now you're working 40 hours plus you're looking for a second job just to be able to make ends meet. You might be working 50 to 60 hours, getting paid more, but because the prices are going up with inflation, it's still like you making maybe 35 hours. Even though you're working more, it seems as though you're taking home less because the price of everything is going up so high. When milk was $3, now milk is $6. That's a big difference. Especially if you're making $8 an hour. Especially if you're making $10 an hour. If you're making $15 an hour. One grocery trip, that's your whole day's work. Rebecca said, people aren't focused on drafting women. They're focused on mob, smash, and grab on the West Coast. And I seen this going on more than just on the West Coast I was looking at too. But that's the thing. They want you focused on that. They actually orchestrate that stuff. I want you to think about that. They actually put laws, change the laws, twist the laws up a little bit, adjust the laws a little bit to make those smash and grab crimes go crazy. To make it where people that's breaking in your house and all, they're not being charged with what they used to be charged with. So it makes it look a little bit for a criminal. Man, you mean to tell me usually if I did something like that, I'll get 10 years. Now they let me sign out. It's on now. They ain't even worried about getting caught. Bro, look, bro, if you get caught, they ain't gonna do nothing but let you sign out. Let's ride. And for little kids, we have to understand, younger people really don't. I know it's hard for us to understand this, but younger people really don't think that much. You got some of these kids are 15, 16, 17. If their group of friends say, let's go, peer pressure, they're going to say, man, let's ride. And while we doing all of that, we still got the problem, our foreign problem that we don't want to, the international problems that we don't want to address. And while these people, they're not talking about the meetings that they're having, while your president is going and the vice president, everybody's like, where's the vice president? Where you don't hear anything about her. You think she's not dead, y'all. She's doing something. She's flying under the radar. They go and make these deals with all these countries. They're getting all this stuff in place. And then they say, and they make us laugh. Oh man, Kamala just done disappeared. That's what they get on TV and do. She ain't disappeared. Trust me. She's the vice president for something. She's out doing something. She might not be going to the border. She's going somewhere. Trust me, she's not just sitting up in the house for the last 6 months, 7 months, doing nothing. It's just you don't know what she's doing. You don't know what they got her going to do. She's doing something. And they say Joe Biden hadn't left his basement. Technology. I seen technology. I saw a video of new holographic technology where they can have this thing set up in a room, and a person's hologram, if they get on camera, set them up, they actually can get on hologram and be right in the room having a meeting with you, walking around in the room having a meeting with you. If they're just releasing this kind of information to the public, they've been doing this stuff. He's in the basement. Who's he talking to in that basement? I just wanted to give y'all that information. That's a whole nother topic. I don't want to get off topic. That's a whole nother topic. I just wanted to get in here and give y'all that. Thank everybody for coming in. Thanks everybody for coming. Hope y'all enjoying y'all weekend. If anybody was affected by any of the storms that we just had, prayers go out to you. Metaverse, yeah. But this Sabrina, this that I saw, it wasn't. You can probably use it in Metaverse, but this was kind of more so like just a certain company had this technology that it was finally able to start bringing, not to the public, but to the people, the higher ups that could actually take it. So that's it for us today. My kids have actually got up, so I tried to get up and do this early this morning. That way I can get up and do this while they were sleeping. But of course they're up now, and before long they'll be flying all over the house. So I gotta get out. Chicken Little says my son is in the military. He chose it instead of college debt. Sounds good. Anybody that goes and serves the country, it has to be a personal thing. So if you go and serve the country, man, every time I see somebody in uniform, I thank them. I thank them for their service, and not because of my thoughts on war, whether war is right, whether war is wrong. I know the reason that person is serving the country is because of us, is because of that person's family. That's why that person wants to serve, because that person wants to keep us safe. And so it's not always about they just want to have free college and all that, even though they be all in the high schools telling them how much free stuff they're going to get and how they're not going to have to worry. Some people actually just serve because they wanted to serve, and their grandparents have served. My grandfather served. I have 2 uncles, 2 of his sons served. But I mean, that's just how it is. And props to you if you serve your country. And also those that serve domestically. Props to you if you serve domestically. If you do things here. For the women, like I said at the beginning, for the women that's in their home with their children, raising their children, that's service to me. I'm sorry. Thank y'all for coming to Realville. I hope to see you soon. Be looking out for some more. I got a whole bunch of videos. I just don't know when I got time to put them up. So, but thank y'all for y'all support more than anything, because it's kind of, as you can see, if you're on the other platform, as you can see, some people can't stand when you're telling them the truth about themselves, the truth about the government, the truth about anything. And and that's why I like Realville, because I believe that at least this is one place where people kind of think alike. I don't want to have a place where everybody has the same thoughts, though. If you disagree with me, if you notice, I always say this: I don't have moderators because I don't want anybody taking people's comments down. So I don't do moderators. I don't take your comments down. I actually welcome people with a different mindset than me, but being the person that's running the channel, when people come on and they see me saying what they don't like, then they want to leave. Well, if you don't like what I'm saying, post your comment. Say, hey, King, I don't agree with that. And I'm not going to be like, oh, you don't agree with me? Get out of here. I'm not going to do that. If you don't agree with me, if I see your comment, I'm not talking and I'm, into my own zone. If I see your comment, I'll read it. I'll think about it. Doesn't mean it's going to change what I think, but it means that you've been allowed to voice your opinion. I think that's what Realville is about more than anything. I don't think people that want everybody to agree with them, we're no better than the other people. We're no better than other people that are stopping us from saying what we want to say. If people can't come on here and say what they want to say. So that's it for me. Remember, think for yourself. Think for yourself. Don't let me think for you. Let me give you some of the information though. Thank y'all for watching. Realville, thanks for coming to Realville. I hope to see you soon. God bless.